Hi there, this is Andrea Beck, your registered dietitian, and we are going to talk about your monthly nutrition tip. Today, we're going to talk about your bones. I think that what brought this up to me was that I continue to hear patients talk about all of the calcium supplements that they take, and it gets brought up a lot. And we talk about often about what we should be eating or doing to make our bones stronger, but we don't necessarily talk about what is making them weaker in the first place. And so, yes, a little bit of just natural aging. Everything in our body gets a little bit weaker, but not to the extent that they should. There are a lot of fractures, um, falls, and then hips breaking. Yes, normally in the elder generation, but not always. I see it often, and I also see it in teeth. And so, even though I'm not a dentist, I see it in teeth because I'm doing a physical assessment of the patient, and our teeth are just like our bones. And so it can be seen there too. So I want to talk to you about three things that can really affect your bone health. The first one is pop. Pop is a big one. And so I've talked about pop lots of times, whether I'm talking about the amount of sugar in it, or leading to diabetes or leading to obesity. But now I'm talking about how it affects your bones. And so it doesn't matter if it's regular pop or if it's diet pop. They both have what is called phosphoric acid in them, and phosphoric acid pulls from your bones and from your teeth. And so it's also a diuretic. And so it's pulling from your bones and from your teeth. So then every time you use the bathroom, it's pulling from that and it's pulling out calcium. So it's pulling from that, making your bones weaker. And so by taking out pop from your diet, again, diet or regular, then you take out the phosphoric acid that would be then making your bones more brittle. The second one is salt. And so that's been talked about a lot too. I've talked to you about salt or processed foods or eating out, things like that. So, a lot of research shows that Americans eat about double the amount of salt that is recommended. And the guidelines recommend that we have around 2,300 milligrams of salt in a day. And that is if somebody already doesn't have high blood pressure or diabetes. And so, we're getting over 4,000 typical American, of course, not everybody, in a day. And so that excess salt is also very hard on our bones. So that is something that you could look at. If maybe you're getting excess salt from eating out too often, too much fast food, too many drive-throughs, maybe a lot of packaged foods, maybe not rinsing the canned goods. Or just flat out salting your food. Maybe you're salting too much while cooking, or when the food gets to your table, then also adding salt on top of it. So that's something that you could look at. Third thing is too much caffeine. And so I want to say that in a way of not making you feel like caffeine just in general is a bad thing. That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying too much of it. And so the research showed that the cutoff point was about 320 milligrams of caffeine in a day to keep your bones stronger. And so when I'm saying excess, I'm talking about having too much coffee in your day, or maybe too many inner drinks or the pop. That would be a good tie-in, because again, that caffeine, just like in the pop, the caffeine in the pop, it is a diuretic. So that means that when you use the bathroom, it's pulling from your bones and from your teeth. And so think about that and kind of look about how much caffeine that you're having in a day. Is that something that you could cut back on just a little bit? Or maybe make a swap, something like green tea bag. If you make like hot tea, got got my hot tea here. So maybe like a hot tea versus a coffee. So then you still get the caffeine, but it's about half the amount of caffeine in a green tea versus the coffee. So that could be something if that could be helpful of still having the caffeine and still having the drink, but not having as much. Or in your day, having more water and not as much caffeine. So just think about those, if any of those tips or any of those areas that you could personally work on for yourself or share for somebody, if that's of interest to you. I think we become more and more aware of our bone health as we age and how important it is. So even though calcium in foods are good for our bones and we know that, and maybe somebody needs a calcium supplement, we also need to look at what we are doing to be taking out from our bones and making them weaker in the first place. All right, let me know if you guys have any questions at all. You can always reach out on this video or find me at SSM Health. Have a great day.